What is your name?
My name is Donnie Meree King. Meree.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Lodi, Texas, near Jefferson, Texas.
Okay. How was it for your family in Texas?
I was born in 1959, and it was like you still, I would say, it was very important for yes sir and no sir to be respectful as far as the white people were. Okay. You may notice now that even you catch more of the seniors that will constantly say yes sir or no sir, and you probably never think why. And you have young people that say it, but they say it out of respect. The older people that you meet that say it, they say it because they remember how they used to do. So the white people, if they're going to give you any respect, will give you respect. It was almost like bowing to them. You could really end up in a fight without saying it. So you had that, and you had certain stores that you shopped at, which it would be owned by the whites, and you had to have special relationships. Like your word was your bond. Now you have people that say things, but they don't really mean it. Back in those days, when you say things, your word was your bond, and most creditors or store owners would really take that as saying what type of person you were as a black.
Okay. So, what do you remember about your childhood?
My childhood, I can recall it was some, one incident was we lived between farms, and you had to sort of go down the road and then come back up another road in order to get to the house we were, because we were in what you call small houses, as some people call it. You can look through the front door and see out the back. And so me and the brother that's next to me will have to go through the field where the cows and horses were to catch the school bus that would only be coming on the main highway or the main road, because you didn't have a highway. You still was too far in the woods. Well, there was a lady who had a trailer that lived on the highway. Now, normally, if you have a trailer, that meant that you were, you weren't struggling like the blacks, eating beans 3 and 4 times a week, So, this particular day, she called us niggers. And even though my brother and I were I was 6, he may have been 5. We went to school, but when we got home, we told our mother. And of course, the next particular day on the way to school, our mother went with us through the field and went to the lady's house and told her, next time, don't she have anything, she got something to say, say it to her, but do not ever attempt to try to say anything to her kids again. So you kind of had things like that as a childhood, and I started working for the federal government, I would say, as a kid, because I was very young. I was 16 or in the 10th grade of high school, and it was a stay in school program, like work program. It was part of your school and your hours and your grades, and it was the.
So that was your first job, right there.
Yes.
Okay, well, actually,
For its federal VA hospital. So it was real bad because it was in the year of 1975. 1975, racism was still bad. You didn't have laws in place that took care of discrimination or equal employment rights or sexual harassment. So as a young person, you went through a lot of verbal abuse, sexual harassment that are known now. But I had to go on my own, and when I would have an incident happen, then I would find the right forms and I just file on it. So I started filing cases in the year of 1979, and I'm on federal workers' comp, but I'm still filing cases because of the fact that it was like no one. First, they didn't want to believe you. Then you had to deal with the fact that unless you put it in writing, and either you're going to stand up for it or you're going to lay down, or you're not going to really be persistent and run it on out, which would be a choice of yours. And if you're going to do that, then it's best don't even start it.
No.
So you still had the whites that was calling you dark, especially dark-skinned women. You were being called black niggas real bad, and more light skinned blacks had a little more going for them. Because they was looking almost white, so they didn't get as much backlash as us dark skinned.
Okay. Let's see what I'm gonna ask. You actually answered like a few of the questions that I.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Were most of your employers male or female?
I would say they've been both. I've had one male employer that was just before the beginning of the school program. I worked for a cafeteria, and I don't think I should call a name because they're probably still, I think they're still open, but they were family owned, and by them being family owned, they had their own instructions. So blacks either worked in the kitchen on dishes, cooked behind the in the pots, real cooking before it went to the steam table, and bus girls. So this employer was one that would take advantage of you if you were weak, to the point that he would pistol whip you in his office. So I thought that was real bad, and I had vowed to myself that there is no reason that I would even allow someone as an employer, as a male, because he has a big name and big family-owned business, to even go there for. Nothing would cause that type of action towards an employee. So I had that, and I've had a female employer who denied me of a promotion because I was not part of a scheme that they had going on, where she she was involved, liked another employee and wanted him to work in the department we work in. But there was a Hispanic girl who was willing to go along with it, even though both people were married, the male and the female supervisor. But number one thing is, it's against the law for you to take someone and you end up having a relationship with them and you are the supervisor. So they made things a lot harder for me because I would not be as part of that little group. They ended up divorcing their own spouses and now they're married to each other. But I'm just saying, things that a person has to go through, still being black, and especially when they think that you have knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So we still have issues.
Do you think that you were treated differently in the workplace because you're a woman?
Yes. I've been fighting the system now over 22 years over an illegal promotion that was given to a Hispanic female because she was a Hispanic. And promotions in the federal civil service government system requires that you are qualified and you meet what we call time and grade. That means a length of time as a federal employee, as well as having the ability to perform the duties of that position. Well, I have performed the duties of the position, but here we go again, because I was not part of that. We all worked together, and we all were in personnel, but because I wasn't part of that relationship that I told you about, they selected her, and then I filed on it because it was an EEO complaint. Laws are already written for that. That's discrimination. You don't no one gets promotion because of their age, race, sex, gender, whatever. There's no such thing as that. So then, of course, the head boss, who was the chief of human resources or personnel, made a threat and told me if I didn't take the EEO back, that was going to make my life miserable as a federal employee. Well, at that time, I didn't know that he was talking about it was going to deal with my federal benefits, dealing with retirement, and what my rights are. So now I'm at, I hope it's the last phase of over a 22-year fight of trying to get what's entitled to me, that was what he was, already knew what he was doing, but because they had me fighting so many other cases to make my record clean, I had no idea that they were going to illegally step out of line and do something with what is already on law, or what's on the federal government registration books, where you go pull the laws and see what applies to you.
Okay. How do you feel about the feminist movement and its progress?
I feel like it's doing well, but it needs more help because we need more people to be able to talk. Number one, we have to get an understanding, and we have to know what our roles are as females. There's a lot of different, perceptions going on, and we need more leaders. If you're calling yourself a leader and you're saying that you want to help the female, to help them, we have to go back to the basics. And the basics is, number one, starting them with education, learning about what it is they need to know, and how they can be a servant or be part of the production of society. Once we can get that going, then you can get the younger women to take them off the street. They would be glad to join in, and you can really start a movement, start a group of women. But we got to go back to the basics.
Okay. What advice would you give young black women today?
Don't give up. That's the number one thing, and look to God. And you have no other choice. He is your keeper. Nothing on this earth is worth it. No man, no jewelry, house, cars. No. Those things are going to fade away. The main thing you need to know is what you need to know on a daily basis. First, you give him honor for even being here. And if you have kids, you should give them double honor, because you're able to see your kids each day he wake you up. So for the right now, the number one thing, if you're not with someone that could help you, just look in the words and see how good God has already been to you, then you need to get with someone. So not to have someone just beat it into you, like running you down and telling you this and you ain't that and all. No one is perfect. If I was perfect, I wouldn't be talking to you now. Okay? I can tell you I'm number one, not perfect, but I know God. And I know when he steps in, he takes care of the problem. And I'm single, with no spouse, no kids. So I have to know him for myself. I've been here on the earth 57 years, so I've been through a lot. So I will tell you to keep on going. Keep on stepping. Don't lay down. You got to keep on stepping.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.